Welcome to Module 6. We have our trial, our site, and our site team. Now it's time to enroll patient. Patient enrollment is at the heart of clinical operation. It's the moment the trial becomes real. In this module, we will walk through the enrollment process and create our first participant record in Salesforce. Patient enrollment in a clinical trial is a structured, regulated process. It starts with patient identification. Physicians at the site identify patients who might be eligible based on their diagnosis and medical history. Those patients then go through a screening process where the site team systematically checks whether they meet the trial's inclusion criteria and don't have any exclusion criteria. If they pass screening, they sit down with the site staff to review the informed consent form, a document that explains the trial in full, including risk, benefit, and what participation involves. The patient must sign this form voluntarily before they get enrolled. Once consent is obtained, the patient is formally enrolled, receives a unique study identification number, and in a randomized trial is assigned to a treatment arm. Enrollment tracking matters for several reasons. Enrollment rates, how quickly sites are enrolling patients, directly determines the trial's overall timeline and cost. A trial that's enrolling slowly may need to add sites, extend timelines, or both. Screen failure rate, the proportion of screened patients who don't enroll tells the clinical team whether there is a problem with how sites are identifying patients or whether the protocol's eligibility criteria are too restrictive. And on compliance side, consent documentation is one of the most scrutinized elements in any regulatory inspection. For this org, the cleanest way to explain trial enrollment is to separate the person from the study specific record. The person lives as an account and the study specific record is a research study candidate. We are going to make use of a study candidate by name Abigail. Let's go to Salesforce. This is the research study candidate. The candidate is Abigail, is associated with a research study. On the left-hand side on the patient card, you can see the medication, health conditions, in case if there are any allergies, any last encounters, immunization, medical procedure, everything is listed for this particular candidate. And this candidate, Abigail, if I open that, is an account. So over here at the account, we can have information about phone, address, demographic information. Let's go back to presentation. So on the research study candidate, the important fields are the research study, the account, the status, the source type. Now let's talk about the failures also. Not every screen patient enrolls. Some don't meet the eligibility criteria. Some fail a required test. Some choose not to consent after learning about the trial. These are called screen failures, and tracking them is important. A high screen failure rate can signal that sites are identifying the wrong patient population or that the protocol's criteria are too narrow. Salesforce lets you track screen failures alongside enrolled participants, giving clinical team visibility into both the enrolled population and the patient who was screened but didn't enroll. So I'm back in Salesforce. If I look into this particular research study candidate, I've got a status field over here. I can, if this particular is undergoing screening, then I will select screening as the status. If they are rejected, then I'll say rejected. If they are ineligible because of one of the conditions about the study, then I'll mark it as ineligible. Let's go back to presentation. So we just saw for the research study candidate. Again, going back over here, if this particular research study is for a specific care program site, we can populate that over here. We can also specify the source system from where this particular candidate was sourced. Go back to presentation. Now the key takeaways are the participant record is the hub for everything that happens to a patient in a trial, their visit, their safety event, their outcomes. Building it correctly now means everything in the next two modules connects cleanly.